How do you feel like the seasonality, right? Because Black Friday, Cyber Monday, a lot of these end of year events are coming, right? So how do you see like these different categories behaving? Do all of them behave same?
What I find is that period leading up to these events and leading out, they're typically like low converting periods. It starts with Windows shoppers. Obviously Black Friday itself is fine or that event, but after that event, the conversion is like low. So we need to prepare for that.
Hey everyone, I'm Akash, co-founder and CEO at SellerMate.AI. Welcome to the latest episode of our podcast. Today we have Vadim, founder of PPC Jumpstart, a boutique Amazon agency focusing on beauty supplements. And in this episode, we'll dive into two topics, one around targeting business buyers, and we'll talk about Q4, preparing about Q4, so Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and things around those, right? But before we deep dive into both of these interesting topics, I would like to welcome Vadim. And right, so Vadim, how did it all started? Right,
Yeah.
what made you land into this space?
Yeah, yeah. First of all, thank you for the intro, Akash. I'm very excited to be on this podcast. I know it took a while to schedule this, but like I said, that's like with every podcast out there, people are busy. Usually podcasts maybe are like secondary thing, right? Um,
Right.
yeah. So PPC Jumpstart is a boutique agency. We have less than 10 clients at the moment, so very small, and that is by design. We want to dedicate extreme attention to each of the clients. We don't have like a huge amount of clients or employees. It's a very small operation at the moment, and that is, like I said, by design. We work with health, beauty supplements. There is few kitchen products we work with, mostly large sellers, so someone from 100 to 300K a month in revenue. And how it all started, so I was actually a seller myself. So, I did not just, Google Amazon PPC, decided to learn it so I could make some extra cash. Uh, so I started as a seller. I was importing, fitness gear from Pakistan at the time. I developed this premium workout gloves.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's something I was passionate about myself, fitness, working out, weightlifting. And at the time I was also like I was working as an engineer at the time. I'm like, okay, this is what I'm passionate about, and this is the kind of product I want to see it in the market. I cannot find it. I cannot find like a durable, long-lasting workout gloves that maybe does not rip and it just last, right? So I made this premium product. I put it up on Amazon. I think that was around 2019, 20.
Mm-hmm.
And and started selling. And at the time, I realized how important the Amazon advertising is. It's probably half of the battle is getting the product right, the offer, and then half of it is probably Amazon PPC. So I dove right into it. Taking courses, lessons, just paying different mentors to find my way around. Um, and yeah, and also at the time when I was selling it, like someone contacted me. So just like a relative of mine asking me like, hey, like I heard you do like sell on Amazon. Like he was also selling on Amazon at the time with his friend, and they basically asked me to come on board and manage their PPC. And that's kind of how I got started, just having that first client and delivering them good results. So the very first, 2 months of working with them, that was like their two best months ever, and this is like for like an old business, and that kind of motivated me to move into that direction. And yeah, and since then I've been working with clients. And
Very interesting, right? So you started with solving your own problem, uh, right? You basically didn't find gloves which were good
yeah,
for working out,
yeah,
right? For yourself. So you build a product around that. You had success with that product. Then you had like people around you asking for the same, right? For your help in services, help with PPC, help with Amazon in general, right?
yeah.
And I think that got you started. So how long back was that?
So the around 1920, so 5, 6 years ago.
5 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Since then, you have been working with like different size of brands,
Yeah.
focusing on the like the beauty supplement space. Uh,
Yeah, health, beauty supplements, kitchen products. I have like a different variety of clients, but mostly like I said, supplements.
But why supplements?
I just find like, well, I do work with other brands too, but I just find with supplements, like this is like the type of niche where advertising is like a lot more important versus any
Hmm.
other product. Because with supplements, like this is literally their bread and butter to grow their business. You know, there is
Right.
like a subscribe and save built in.
Hmm.
There is just so much upside of running ads for supplement brands versus like say you're selling. Maybe you're selling a kitchen product and you are just you lucked out and you rank well organically, and maybe you don't need as much advertising. With supplements, there is so much competition. There is just no way to pause advertising. You know, there is people advertising on your own branded terms. You know, whereas in other niches that is not as common. You know,
Right. And
yeah,
I also feel like supplement is unique in a sense that uh, e- even though your CACs might be higher, your customer acquisition cost, but if you acquire a customer, they like your product, so they'll buy it multiple times, right? So they end up subscribing to the same supplement a couple of times,
yeah,
right? They'll not just buy it once.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. And you know, this is what I've kind of like. This is what I like about it. Like, if we can build the strategies to, you know, not just get to increase our sales, but to literally grow our business, meaning grow new to brand customers. If we can, if we can build it in advertising, we can grow this brand so much faster. And yeah, of course, I can speak on that about like new to brand customers and existing customers, etc.
right, definitely. Right. And so in your category, do you also see like businesses buying these products, or is it mostly on the consumer side?
Yeah, not for supplements, so there is not as much B2B movement, but I do work with this electronics brand selling different like stations for like is like a docking station for a laptop. So this is one of my this is one of the brands I manage. So their B2B side is literally 50% of their sales almost. So we take this to an extreme where we have like day partying running on this account and our advertising is completely shut off outside of business hours.
Okay,
So
makes sense, right? So I think that's also like a very, I think, good insight for our audience, right? For your B2B customers, they won't buy outside of office hours, right? So there's no sense in running any set of ads. So that's also like a very good use case for day
mhm.
parting.
Yeah. And I wanted to also mention that Amazon does incentivize people, just people selling on Amazon to sign up for this to be like a business. So
Mm-hmm.
I was at the conference in Seattle, so that was a few months ago. And you know, the very first person that spoke to me was just an Amazon rep asking me, "Hey, am I a business and do I want to sign up for business.amazon.com?" And you know, that got me thinking that they're actively promoting this. So you know, there are people who has like this special business account, and I think their ad experience is different versus like us as a shopper going on time. Like they're seeing different ads. They have like the business placement section.
What other insights, right? So like what other differences have you seen? Say
Hmm.
if you're running your ads, right? So on one side you're working with consumer brands like on health and supplement, right? And the other side you have this electronic brand which has 50% of its business coming from B2B. Apart from day parting, like what are other like differences have you seen?
Yeah. So I mean, just to roll back a little bit, like the way you find out that for your business is very simple. You go to business reports and you just examine what is the percentage of total sales happen to be business sales, right? B2B sales. And as far as other differences, so for brands, you know, for brands whose sales are dominantly business sales, like that electronic brand I work with, the business placements tend to work extremely well. So that is just another setting in the campaign called business placements.
Right.
On some accounts, it's not available, but most of the accounts I manage, it is available. So for that electronics brand, the business placements, like we have this turned on for every single campaign. And I believe we have like at least 50% business modifier. So that is just another multiplier on top of, you know, normal placements, top of search, rest of search. to basically get us seen more by the business customers.
Right. And I think even businesses would have like a lot of repeat buying. Right.
Yeah.
So they'll not go ahead and like find a new vendor every time. They would
Hmm.
like stick with the same brand, with
Yes.
the same vendor.
Yeah. So, we typically tend to like our cost of acquisition, like we typically are on the higher side.
Mm-hmm.
If we target, business placements and let's say it's at above average ACOS, I'm typically fine with it because for the exact reason you mentioned. If we can get this business to buy, then they're more likely gonna keep buying from us.
I think like very useful insight for a lot of newer seller, right? Because they just look at their ROAS at like for every kind of audience they have like the same lens for ROAS, right? Versus for categories, say if you have a product where you have a lot of business buying, or say something like supplement, right, where you have a lot of repeat buying, you can afford to spend a lot in acquiring the customer, right? And I think that's where the built-in AMC audiences come in, right? So they have like two brand, repeat buyers, add to cart. At least these three audiences are there by default, right? So
Yeah.
you can really use that as a like a funnel for your product.
Yeah. Yeah. You did mention new to brand audiences. Like this is the one I use the most. For example, this new client I've onboarded the supplement brand. So we were able to grow his like subscribe and save audience by like 10% in the first months.
Mm-hmm.
So, this client, like he has like this subscribe and save base around 900 people, never reached 1,000. In the first
Mm-hmm.
30 days, we are able to take it to 1,000 subscribers, and that is with the help of adding that new to brand audience and campaigns. That's from AMC, by the way.
Right.
And doing other things. I'm sure a lot of supplement brands will be watching that video, so I just really advise, like, we need to have two sources of traffic. There is audiences, there is traffic, there is non-branded traffic and branded traffic.
Right.
We need to treat non-branded traffic in a very different way, where we allow it for like higher ACOS target for lower ROAS, and that is just for that same purpose of acquiring the customer.
Makes sense, right? So how do you feel like the seasonality, right? Because Black Friday, Cyber Monday, a lot of these end of year events are coming, right? So how do you see like these different categories behaving? Do all of them behave same, differently? What have been your observations? And maybe share some best practices.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, for supplements, the best months is always January.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's start of the year. Everyone has their New Year resolution. Everyone wants
Yeah,
to
yeah, like lose weight, gain muscle, etc. Always
right.
the best months. As far as specific, periods of time, Christmas, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, it still lifts the sales up even for supplement brands. What I find is that period leading up to these events and leading out, they're typically like low converting periods. It starts with window shoppers. Obviously Black Friday itself is fine or that event, but after that event, the conversion is like low. So we need to prepare for that. For example, the period leading up to Black Friday, we tend to kind of like slow down our advertising, like with a form of day parting, with
Mm-hmm.
reduced budgets, bids, and also just reducing our top of search visibility. There is going to be a lot of window shoppers just looking for options, maybe adding to cart. But during the event itself, we have our top of search like maxed out on the key campaigns that historically work very well. Our highest converting keywords. Our top of search is maxed out there. We have less day parting, so our advertising it's running almost throughout the whole day. And as far as the period after the event, so that is also important to pay attention. Like the next day or like sometimes 3 to 4 days, usually low conversion rate.
Right.
So again, we tend to dial down the advertising back.
Makes sense. I think that's like a good strategy, right? Because a lot of people will are just shopping around looking at their options before the event days, right? So they are basically browsing. So
Yeah,
then you will spend money, but they'll not buy. All of them will wait for say Black Friday, Cyber Monday,
yeah,
right? And those are the days where people are actually making decisions. So that's where you are basically spending more money on your core keywords,
core keyword. Yeah.
right? Right.
Um,
And how
Yeah,
do you do this? Do you do this manually? Do you basically open multiple Amazon tabs and then
yeah,
see if your product is coming ranking on top or
yeah.
not? How do
Uh,
you do that?
yeah, I'm a big proponent of manual optimization, but when I say manual, it does not mean I go to every single tab and I do it through Ads Manager. That that is a good way, but that is the slowest way. Another tip I wanted to share about Q4 in general. There is a lot of searches that there is a lot of search terms that are appearing on Black Friday that
Mm-hmm.
you wouldn't even see in Helium 10, Jungle Scout,
Right.
any other tools. Like you wouldn't even know that people are searching for this product this kind of way. So what I find helps a lot to just accelerate the sales is having this broad campaign, just targeting one word. Let's say
Mm-hmm.
you're selling an energy supplement.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you need to be very careful about it, but you have a campaign targeting, I don't know, let's call this supplement for energy or just energy in a broad much time. Of course, you need to be careful about it. There needs to be a lot of negations done, but if you do this right, you can get so many more sales for this events, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, that your competition wouldn't even get, because they're simply
Right.
not targeting these keywords. There is going to be these searches that have like maybe 5 searches a month, and it's not under Helium 10 radar. But you can target this just with this broad match campaign.
Right. And do you keep the CPCs and everything very low in this
Yeah.
campaign?
Yeah, very low, because what I noticed is that maybe a week before the event, there is nothing happening to this campaign. Then once Black Friday happens, suddenly it has like $100 spent. And and
Right.
and if the CPC isn't low, it could get out of control very fast, because there is such a large influx of traffic.
Definitely. So I've definitely heard about this hack
You did?
before, but yeah, but not in the context of events, right? A lot of people, what they do is they'll have like low bid campaigns running very broad, right? So where no one else is bidding, or someone else is out of budget, all right, or maybe there new search terms, right? New trends which are coming up where no one else is bidding. So you end up getting like a lot of traffic at a very low cost,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And I can also speak. So I'm familiar. I think I know what you're talking about that other angle. Like I think you were saying about catch-all campaigns, right?
Right, casual campaigns, yes.
Yeah. So I do use them extensively. Maybe I'm using it slightly differently than other people. So what I have is basically a series of campaigns holding like 1,000 keywords.
Mm-hmm,
So so 1,000 keywords is a campaign's limit. So you just take all of the keywords your product indexes for, then
mm-hmm.
you launch them in the 1,000 keyword campaigns with fixed bidding, low bids in all match types. And so what this is just an evergreen campaign. You have everything at 20 cents, 25 cents, etc. Ideally, it has to be at least half lower than your actual average cost per click. And so what happens over time is like these campaigns, they don't need as much management. And then all it's doing is just finding the time in a day or in a week where algorithm is willing to show us at a cheap cost per click, for
Right,
some odd reason. And what I find that these campaigns, like I said, very low maintenance, and like I have them sitting at like 5-10% ACOS, and I could go ahead, like look at the last 30 days, there is like $2,000 to $3,000 generated in sales by just barely doing anything. They're just set up there and they're getting us like these cheap sales.
perfect, man. I think really good hack. I think for our audience. And anything else you would want to share around Q4?
Uh, I'd say this is just like a type of advice, I guess, just for people just starting out with Amazon ads. I'd say if you do want to test something, don't test it a week before Black Friday.
Right. Yes.
Don't test it during Black Friday or a week after. Like if you want to test something, you should test it now. So
Mm-hmm.
beginning of November, well before Black Friday. But when Black Friday is about to happen, like I really don't recommend doing any testing, because the data will be skewed. I wouldn't advise testing anything in December either, because the data is again skewed. So that is a piece of advice I wanted to leave the audience with.
Definitely, definitely. I think that's a very good advice, right? And I do feel like a lot of large brands, they don't make any changes right after November. They are
Yeah,
said they're planning for these events for last couple of months, right? And they are set. They know what they want to do when they are mostly in the execution phase, right?
yeah,
Where they have their inventory, their stocks, and everything in place, and they just want to sell. But I
yeah,
think I think really great advice for a lot of newer sellers for sure, right? Who are getting into this, right? These are not the days where you want to experiment. As you said, your data would be skewed. Everything would be very expensive. Your PPC, your bits, everything would be expensive. So not a good time to test out things.
yeah, I agree.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So that was really helpful, Vadim, and I think I do hope our audience do get like a lot of value out of this. So thank you so much for being on our podcast.
Thank you for having me, Akash. I do post a lot of things on LinkedIn. If you guys ever want to see the tips I post, that will be on LinkedIn. And for any detailed walkthroughs, that will be on YouTube.
Thank you for our audience. Please do like and subscribe if you want more of such candid conversations. See you until next time.